Hello. Today we have with us Richard Davidson, who is Chief Executive of Sarcoma UK. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you, Carol.
Sarcoma UK, there's a lot of cancer charities out there. Why is Sarcoma UK so important?
Well, sarcoma only makes up about 1.5% of all cancers, so it's relatively small. But within that, there are around over 100 different sarcomas, so it's incredibly diverse. And that means it's very difficult to treat, very difficult to diagnose in the first place. And not many of the cancer charities are doing research into sarcoma. So we are the only UK charity that focus on all different types of sarcoma. And without us, there's lots of research that wouldn't happen. And actually, the outlook for sarcoma patients would be as bleak as they were before the charity existed.
So how long have you existed? And is that why you came into being?
So we were set up just over 10 years ago, actually, by a patient and his wife who set us up. Really, the first few years of the charity were based around their kitchen table. They did everything. They stuffed envelopes, they wrote the newsletters, they sent everything off. And then 10 years ago, Roger and Sheila handed the charity over and said, right, we've taken it as far as we can. It needs to grow. We need investment. So it was set up about 10 years ago. I've only been with the charity for 3 years, but it's been incredibly well run since it was established, and really good governance and really good structures and systems in place, and a really passionate, fascinated team who are really ultra committed to the cause and to the charity and improving the lives of people with sarcoma.
So you say you joined 3 years ago. What brought you to it, and why are you passionate about Sarcoma UK?
So I've always worked in cancer charities. Actually, I was at Research UK for 11 years. In fact, I was there before it became Cancer Research UK in one of the predecessor organisations. And then I was at Anthony Nolan, the blood cancer charity, for 8 years. So I've always worked in cancer. I've always been passionate about smaller organisations, and years ago I was one of the founder trustees of the Small Charities Coalition, and I was doing that when I was at Cancer Research UK. And the reason I became involved in that is because I thought, however great the big charities are doing, the small ones tend to be the ones that are nearer the patients, nearer the communities. So I was always very passionate about that. And about 15 years ago, my father-in-law, Alan, was diagnosed with sarcoma. I was working at Cancer Research UK. I had no clue really what sarcoma was, what it involved, but it was a cancer of the connective tissues, the bones, the marrow, the tendons. So I was always interested in sarcoma, and then the opportunity arose about 3 years ago to join. And the little bit I knew of the charity, I was really impressed by. As I mentioned, they had a passionate team and really committed, and it was really well run. So it was a really nice charity to join. And the community of sarcoma patients and healthcare professionals and researchers are really, really tight. And it fosters a really strong community. And that was something that really appealed to me. It was a really nice organisation, albeit with a huge challenge ahead, because so much in sarcoma still needs to be done. It lags behind other cancers in so many different ways. So we have a lot of catching up to do, and actually COVID has made a lot of that worse. It's taken us back a few steps, but I do think there is a huge amount to achieve in sarcoma. So that's kind of why I joined the charity.
You talk about it being a smaller charity. Is there such a thing? I can't imagine there will be in a small charity with a big remit. Is there such a thing as a typical day? And how would you describe your day?
Oh, well, I think I definitely miss the office, and actually the office gave a little bit more routine and a little bit more structure to some of the days, I think. And so I do miss colleagues, and I do miss the interaction with supporters, which you got more of when you were in the office. But I wouldn't say there is any kind of typical day. There's stuff that we do around, internal, the one-to-ones, the HR, the governance of the organization. We do quite a lot to support staff, because obviously working from home is difficult for lots of people. So we have kind of mindfulness sessions once a fortnight, and we have a counsellor that comes in and supports the staff with some of the trickier situations. So we try and do a lot around people's mental health and support. But then there's also lots of the leadership stuff, that the external work with either umbrella groups or different groups and coalitions that we work with. And then the bit that I really, really love is and the stuff that we've done less of recently, is the face-to-face physical events, the going to the marathon, the going to the Ride London, or our own fundraising events. So we've really missed those. Having said that, I was just last week up in Epping Forest with a supporter who's doing the John O'Groats to Land's End bike ride. And so, we were doing some kind of media work up there. So it's always good to meet the supporters and meet the people that are kind of on the front line doing the work. So yeah, that's the bit about COVID and working from home, and that I really miss.
You talk about, it being a small and passionate and lovely community that you're working with. How do you, you talk also about the well-being of your staff. How do you make sure that you are able to take on everybody's story and remain detached but still passionate about what you do?
I think, that is the trickiest thing. I think when people say, what's it like working for a charity, and that the hardest thing is sometimes not to get too emotionally attached and too involved in people's stories and their experiences. But I think that we have a responsibility to do that. We run an amazing support line that speaks to people every day about their experiences and what they're going through, and they really are on the front line. But I think we all have a duty to kind of make sure that we are looking after ourselves and our own mental health and well-being. So as I say, we have the support, we have a counsellor that comes in, and we have mindfulness sessions, and we have the opportunity to talk to others about kind of things that are going on. And I suppose the great thing about the voluntary sector, and about cancer charities in particular, is that there are so many great support networks out there. So whether it's cancer charity chief execs, or the Cancer 52 group, or the AMRC, or Akivo, there are lots of kind of coalitions and groups that give you a built-in support network so that you can go out and talk to others about kind of what's going on and how it's impacting you.
So how many people are there in your team, and tell us about them? Dish the dirt.
Where to start? Where to start? So there are 20 of us, I think, in the organisation at the moment. We had to downsize slightly during COVID, during the first lockdown, and there is, there's such a great bunch. We have people who've been there since the very start. So Lorena has been with the organisation for over 10 years. Right up to people who've joined during lockdown, so we've never met. There's two members of the team who we've never met face to face, and then a really committed, passionate bunch in between. So everyone is. I think everyone's missing the face to face. I don't think anyone is missing the commute particularly, but there's definitely lots of people who I think are desperate to get back together so that we can go to the pub, we can do the kind of the more social stuff that we tended to do as a team. So whether or not that's around the fundraising events or just kind of non-fundraising social activity. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are desperate to get back to the thing. And I'm lucky this later this week, I'm having my first face-to-face one-to-one since April last year. So that's a long time to go. So I'm looking forward to it.
I was very lucky in that my team were 6, which meant that when we had the power of 6 to meet
Oh, yeah.
outside, we were able to meet outside. But now there are more than that in my team, so I have to not.
Not yet,
Not
but soon.
yet, or they can meet without me, or whatever. What makes you most proud about working at Sarcoma UK?
Lots of things make me proud. I think the work that we do supporting current patients and their families is the most rewarding thing that we do. So a lot of the supporters that we speak to will say, you know, it's absolutely essential that we fund the research, and it's great that we have invested huge amounts of research over the last few years and are passionate about the different types of research that we do. But I think the most immediate thing that we do as an organisation that makes me proud is the work on the Spotline. We've got 3 expert staff who staff the Spotline every weekday and responding to calls and queries, and are incredible experts in their field and know everything there is to know about sarcoma and how to kind of direct and advise patients. So I think it's that work that really makes me proud.
What was your first thought when we asked you to do this?
First of all, I was incredibly flattered. And then after I was flattered for about 30 seconds, I thought, oh my God, what will Carol ask? And where will she go? But yeah, I think it's a lovely thing to do. And I think it's really good to find out more about people who are behind the charities and work in charities, because everyone does it for a reason. And I think that the really nice thing is that when you work in the voluntary sector, you meet so many incredible, committed, passionate people who share a desire to improve the lives of their beneficiaries. And that's what brings people into the voluntary sector. And I think that's what makes us tick as a community.
I absolutely agree. And to finish on a high note, if you could have one wish for Sarcoma UK, what would it be?
Oh, you mean apart from a multi-millionaire benefactor? I think that I would. Sarcoma is still a forgotten or lonely or unknown cancer, and I think anything that we can do to raise awareness and money to invest in sarcoma research, because you know our outcomes lag behind those for other cancers. We need to do more in raising awareness. We need to diagnose and treat it better. So anything that we can do, and that's why I think taking part in kind of cross-sector campaigns such as the work that AMRC are doing on research funding are so essential, because we need to make sure that not only are the public supporting charities, but also the government is supporting charities, and it is a really, really important area, and we just need to make sure that cancer and other medical research isn't another victim of COVID, and that's what we risk doing at the moment.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Carol.